If you've ever seen a photograph of Dead & Company playing live on stage, chances are very good it was taken by none other than Jay Blakesberg. Jay is a phenomenal photographer who started going to Grateful Dead shows in the 1970s with his camera around his shoulder, and he has gone on to take some of the most enduring and defining photographs of Grateful Dead and Dead & Company. He's been an incredible friend to me and everyone in Dead & Company and Grateful Dead. Not to mention the fact he's been a great supporter of mine, especially early on when he would tell me before shows to go knock 'em dead. Go really let it loose on Morning Dew. I would play Morning Dews just for Jay. He's an incredible historian of the band and their music, and that's why you're in for one heck of a treat this week. It is an honor to turn the microphone over to the great Jay Blakesberg.
Hey everyone, my name is Jay Blakesberg, and I am your guest host on today's episode of the Grateful Dead Listening Party. You can find me on Instagram at Jay Blakesberg and also at Retro Blakesberg. I just want to take a minute and thank John for all of his amazing Grateful Dead energy. I first met John in 2001 when he was performing in San Francisco to promote his first major label record, Room for Squares. We reconnected in 2015 when John came to Marin County and played two amazing shows with Phil Lesh at Terrapin Crossroads. After they did those two shows, they went and did another one in the bar restaurant late night after that. It was incredible to see John playing these Grateful Dead songs with Phil Lesh and his band. This was just a few weeks before Fare Thee Well happened. Of course, John showed up at Fare Thee Well. I have a photo of John with Mickey and Billy and O'Teal, and I can tell that he was just absorbing it all. Right after Fare Thee Well ended, I got the call to come up to Bob Weir's studio to do the first portrait of this new band. I asked Mickey's manager, what was this band going to be called? And he said, Dead & Company. It was a pretty fun day. I got to watch them rehearse and play for the first time, and it really was magical. Over a 10-year period and getting to know John better, I watched Dead & Co. become a heavy vehicle for inspiration and passion. Exactly what this music is for all of us, both the band and the Deadheads. Let your life proceed by its own design. Discovering the Grateful Dead and psychedelics was the most liberating thing I experienced as a teenager in the mid-1970s. Something that actually changed the course of my life in such a profound way that looking back over my 50-year adventure with the music of the Grateful Dead, I now fully understand that this is exactly where I was and am supposed to be. Those early psychedelic experiences encourage inward thinking and outward connection, two of the greatest gifts an impressionable human could have at such a young age. The journey for me began at Englishtown on September 3rd, 1977. Labor Day weekend. This was the first of 4 big Labor Day weekend concerts the Grateful Dead would do over the next 4 years on the East Coast, 77, 78, 79, and 1980. If you were a teenager in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Connecticut in 1977 and had any interest in what the Grateful Dead had to offer, because maybe you heard a song on the radio or a friend turned you on to a record, there's a good chance you went to Englishtown and it was your first time ever seeing the Grateful Dead. When people ask me what to listen to in the Grateful Dead verse, I always start with the 35-minute He's Gone, Not Fade Away jam from Englishtown. It is just truly one of the most epic pieces of music to my ears. And even John Mayer asked me once, what should I listen to? And I said, the Not Fade Away He's Gone jam from Englishtown in 77. I'm not going to play that right now because it's 35 minutes long, but I highly encourage you to listen to it on Dick's Picks number 15, wherever you stream your music. Instead, we're going to start today's program with Eyes of the World from Englishtown, September 3rd, 1977, because sometimes we live no particular way but our own. Here's Englishtown, 77, Eyes of the World.
song of the morning. Heart has its seasons, its evenings, its songs of its own. Sometimes we live no particular way, but our own. Sometimes we visit your country and live in your home. Sometimes we ride on your horses. Sometimes we walk alone. Sometimes the songs that we hear are just songs of our own. To find out that you are the eyes of the world. Our heart has its features, its homeland, and thoughts of its own. They've now discovered that you are the song that the morning brings. Your heart has its seasons, its evenings, its songs of its own.
1 year after the Grateful Dead played at Englishtown, they were back on the East Coast for year 2 of their Labor Day series of shows. This time it was September 2nd, 1978, and it was at the Meadowlands Giant Stadium. This, too, became a first Grateful Dead concert for so many East Coast Deadheads. If they didn't get to Englishtown, they certainly got to the Meadowlands in 78. And this was also the very first time I photographed the Grateful Dead. And I did it with my dad's borrowed Pentax camera. Thanks, Bill Blakesberg. Appreciate you loaning a 16-year-old kid a camera. I was 16, as I said, and I was about to start my senior year of high school, and I photographed the Grateful Dead for the first time. I developed those prints in my basement darkroom of my mother's house in Clark, New Jersey. And what I realized is that a slow transition was occurring. Our minds were wide open and telling us that we needed this experience. The dormant DNA was waking up, and all of us young Deadheads, we were experiencing things that were just blowing our minds when we went and saw this band. There's no official release from this show. It's a bootleg that's out in the world, but they played a stellar Scarlet Begonias at the Meadowlands. So I picked a different Scarlet Begonias. This one is from the Cow Palace, just south of San Francisco, at the very, very first Wall of Sound show in March of 1974. This is such a great show, and 1974 was a fabulous, incredible year for the Grateful Dead. Mars Hotel came out in 74. Scarlet Begonias was fresh on their minds, and they just crushed this song for the rest of their career, all the way through Dead and Co. We all loved when they played Scarlet Begonias, so let's check it out now.
Got a chill to the of gold band, pot of gold band.
I love a good Scarlet Begonias. It's such a great song to dance to. The lyrics are incredible. Robert Hunter at a peak. And boy, just a great song that was in the repertoire forever. And we're so grateful for that. All right, Black-Throated Wind. Just one of those songs that touches on so many universal human emotions and experiences. The road, lost love, regret, adventure, and pain. It's kind of a sad song, but the lyric that hooked me was so cool and so Barlow. The highway, the moon, the clouds, and the stars. It was those four things that always made me think of and want adventure in my life. It was a line that brought hope and promise in a song that felt to me harsh and bleak and, of course, sad, as I said. Those words felt like a way home. Black-Throated Wind disappeared from the live repertoire a few years after its release and didn't come back until the 1990s. I think they stopped playing it in the mid-1970s. And so maybe that's why it even felt more special when they played it. Dead and Company played it a bunch, and we last heard it live sung by Bobby in 2024 at Sphere in Las Vegas. Here is a beautiful Black-Throated Wind from Winterland on October 19th, 1974, which is on the recently remastered 50th anniversary of Steal Your Face, released by Rhino Records. The music that Rhino is putting out is just so on point. David Lemieux curating all of this music. We're so fortunate that this band recorded everything that they did. Well, not everything, but so much. It's pretty remarkable that a show that they probably got paid $500 for in 1966 is now being released on CD 60 years later. So here we go. Black-Throated Wind, Winterland. Check it out.
all full of the blues, trying to lose. You ain't gonna learn what you don't wanna know. Sure, I give you my eyes, but all of their lies. Please help them to look as well as to see. And capture a glance, hold on, make it dance. Looking at you, looking at me. Black throated wind keeps on blowing in. We fly through the night and could almost be true. And our mother American night, when you come alive, turn around is what I'm gonna do. Oh, I'm going back home, that's what I'm gonna do. Turn around is what I'm gonna do. Oh, I'm going back home, that's what I'm gonna do. You look back at me when I'm done by you.
My name is Jay Blakesberg, and I am your guest host here on Grateful Dead Listening Party. Really, really love that song. Again, the highway, the moon, the clouds, and the stars. What a moving lyric, and just an incredible song sung by Bobby with so much emotion for so many years. We're just lucky to have that song as part of the Grateful Dead universe. I turned 18 years old on December 1st, 1979, and I was really lucky that I got to see the Grateful Dead that night and the night before. It was at the Stanley Theater in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This was a venue that held about 3,000 people, which was weird for the time because they were playing arenas and stadiums, but every once in a while, they would show up and play in a small theater, and it was always special. The 12-1 show is legendary, mostly because of the soundboard tape made by a kid named Andre, who had a reel-to-reel tape deck. He also had a connection with Grateful Dead sound engineer Dan Healy, who allowed him to plug that reel-to-reel into the soundboard and make an incredible bootleg recording. First of all, this adventure started by trying to get tickets to this small show. I did a little research. I don't even remember how because the internet didn't exist, but I mailed a bank money order to the local record store in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I believe it was called the Record Mart. And I seem to remember that the Record Mart was inside the local hardware store. And so I mailed it just like a week before the shows. And I know this because I still have a copy of my bank receipt from that check. I went to Pittsburgh, I picked up my tickets, and these were incredible, incredible shows. Post-show, we all went back to the super sketchy motel near the venue. Andre brought the reel-to-reel recording deck, and we all daisy-chained in a bunch of cassette decks to make copies of that show. So we sat there for the next 3 hours recording that concert onto cassette, which is why that show was so widely distributed to all the Deadheads who were sharing and trading Grateful Dead tapes. So there's about 15 Deadheads sitting in this room. It's totally funky hotel room, and we're smoking weed, and we probably have enough drugs on us to go to prison for life. And somebody knocks on the door, and we open the door, and it's the Pittsburgh police. And we're just like kind of freaking out a little bit. And they look in there and they see this giant 12-inch reel-to-reel deck spinning in circles with all these electronics coming out. And I'm pretty sure that they thought that we were undercover narcs doing an investigation and phone tapping somebody's phone. They didn't even know what to make of this room, right? I mean, the reel-to-reel was intimidating. And they looked in there and they looked around. They said, just keep the noise down. We got a complaint. And they closed the door and they left. I mean, it's truly Grateful Dead energy. So unfortunately, there's no official release of this show, but that tape is everywhere. Just go out and find it. 12-179. It came from Andre from his reel-to-reel, but they played a killer China Cat Sunflower, I Know Your Rider, which is always a crowd favorite. So I went back and picked one from Dick's Picks number 10 at Winterland. My dear friend Rob Bleetstein calls 12/29/77 the greatest Grateful Dead concert ever. Debatable, of course. But that's where we're going to listen to China Cat Rider from on Dick's Pick number 10. Check it out and go find that bootleg tape from 12/1/79. I'm sure it's on the archive.org, and I'm sure it's the tape from Andre, and I'm sure it came from one of those cassettes that we had daisy chained in that sketchy motel.
Gonna miss your baby from rolling in your arms.
Oh my God, that was so good. I loved that China Rider. I loved when Dead & Co. played China Rider. It really got the crowd going. It was a crowd favorite. My name is Jay Blakesberg, and I am your guest host here on the Grateful Dead Listening Party. Thank you, John, for having me as the host. This is so much fun. I also want to tell everybody that I did a book on Dead & Co., and you can go get a signed copy on my website, www.rockoutbooks.com. This is a book that is the touring year, so pre-Sphere, everything up to Sphere. It's over 300 pages, and Mickey Hart wrote the foreword for it. It really means a lot to me. And of course, as we are in a new era of the Grateful Dead legacy, I think this book will mean a lot to you guys as well. I think it is safe to say that Uncle John's Band is a fan favorite. It's certainly one of many of my all-time fave songs. Again, when people ask me what are my favorite songs, it's also in my top 5, maybe top 10. But somehow, after 1977, it vanished from the set list for a little bit. There were 0 plays of Uncle John's Band in 1978, and it seemed to be going in the same direction for all of 1979. Back then, you used to go to Dead shows and people would put up giant signs that said how many days since they played the last Dark Star. I mean, Uncle John's Band could have gone that way. 550 days since the last Uncle John's Band. It was really becoming that. So by the time the New Year's shows happened in late 1979 and Brent had been in the band for almost 7 months, there was all this incredible new energy that he brought. And he was rearranging the molecules in the music and in our brains. The band was on fire by the end of 1979. And I, as a typical 18-year-old kid, I had just turned 18 3 weeks earlier at those shows at the Stanley Theater in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was completely all in at that point. And so right after those Pittsburgh shows, I mailed a bank money order to the offices of Bill Graham Presents in San Francisco. And I still have a copy of that check as well. I even spelled Bill Graham's name wrong on the check. I left out a letter. And I received a letter back within 5 days confirming 2 New Year's Eve tickets for $32. But for some weird reason, I did not know about airlines. So I jumped on a Greyhound bus with my buddy Nick. And we took a Greyhound bus on like December 23rd or 4th to San Francisco from New Jersey. Now, let me say something. We're all way too old to jump on a Greyhound bus and go across country right now. But when you're 18 years old and you're on a Greyhound bus in Christmas 1979, the weirdest people in the world are on that Greyhound bus. And you become family with these freaks, right? And people are getting on and people are getting off. And I got off in Reno and got a ride from Reno to San Francisco from a girl that I had met at Red Rocks the previous summer at a Dead show. And I went to Berkeley and stayed in a house in a bedroom with some people I didn't even know. That's what was going on in 1979. We had no internet. We didn't know how to get a hotel room. I didn't even own a credit card. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just baby teenagers on Dead tour, following our bliss and going on the grandest adventure of our lives. So it's a 5-night run. December 26, 27, 28, 30, and 31. I'm from New Jersey. I had a plan, right? The Grateful Dead. I had never photographed the Grateful Dead in California. I was going to photograph nights 1, 3, and 5. 5 being New Year's Eve. We knew Bill Graham was going to do something magical at midnight. We read about it in the magazines. Previous New Year's, there was always a grand entrance. On nights 2 and 4, I would do what any 18-year-old kid do. I would take copious amounts of LSD. because that's how we rolled when we were 18 years old. We weren't microdosing. That's what we do now. Back then, it was full-on psychedelic experience deep into the pudding. And so when it got to New Year's Eve, it got to midnight, the lights went out. The spotlights are up on the ceiling, and Bill Graham is flying across the Oakland Auditorium Arena, dressed as a giant butterfly with Steal Your Faces on the wings. Now, I'm from New Jersey. There are no giant butterflies in New Jersey with Steal Your Faces on the wings. Okay? So Bill flies across the room. They are counting down 10, 9, 8. At midnight, 2 seconds before, he lands in a giant butterfly net 10 feet away from me. I have the photos to prove it. Okay, this really happened. The balloons start to fall. The confetti comes down. And the Grateful Dead are singing Sugar Magnolia. It's the most incredible experience for an 18-year-old kid, right? You just know right at that moment that that's exactly where you're supposed to be. But on night one of that run, December 26, 1979, after the set break, lights went down, the band came out, and they opened the second set with Uncle John's Band. After not playing it for 2 years, the place was on fire. It was an incredible moment, and you could feel it in the air. The fans, the band. I have a picture of Garcia with this smirky smile on his face that I know is from Uncle John's Band. And of course, they played it again on that New Year's Eve. They played it twice in 1979 in the same week. Uncle John's Band was back, and it stayed in the live repertoire for the rest of time. So here is that Uncle John's Band from 12/26/79, second set opener from Dick's Picks number 5, very early in the Dick's Picks series, so you know how good and special this show really was. Uncle John's Band, check it out.
to wait. Whoa, oh, what I want to know, where does the time go? I live in a silver mine and I'm calling Vegas too. I got me a violin and I beg you call the tune. Anybody's choice, I can hear your voice. Oh, oh, what I want to know, where does the sun go? Come hear Uncle John's band by the riverside. Got some things to talk about here beside the rising tide. Come here, Uncle John's band, bring to the tide. Come on along or go alone, he's come to take his children home.
Wow, what an Uncle John's band. Just amazing. And what a moment that was for Deadheads, because when a song left the set list and then it came back, it really was meaningful. Okay, so if you're in San Francisco now through the end of October, check out the Forever Grateful museum-style Grateful Dead experience that's happening at the Haight Street Art Center, which is open now, and at the Hall of Flowers in Golden Gate Park. It is opening on September 5th. They just rolled the original Ken Kesey Merry Prankster Further bus into the Hall of Flowers in Golden Gate Park as part of this exhibit. I also just finished curating a giant wall of photographs that's everything that happened with the Grateful Dead post Jerry Garcia. all the incarnations all the way up to Dead & Co. at Sphere, GD60. Come check it out. Also, if you're in Santa Cruz, go to the Nicely Gallery on the mall in Santa Cruz, and they have an exhibit of my work, Grateful Dead and other bands that I photographed. And on September 4th, I'm going to be doing my Grateful Dead slideshow storytelling presentation at the gallery. It's a free event, but you have to reserve tickets. NicelySantaCruz.com. Check it out. All right, my name is Jay Blakesberg, and I am your guest host here on the Grateful Dead Listening Party. We're so happy to have you, and I'm so thrilled to be telling stories and talking about my experiences, photographing the Grateful Dead, hanging out, being a Deadhead since I'm 15 years old when we first discovered the Grateful Dead in suburban New Jersey. But by 1980, things had really changed for me. 1980 was a really, really big year for me being on tour. I had truly transformed from suburban New Jersey teenage stoner to full-blown psychedelic hippie. That's what happens when you start following the Grateful Dead. In 1980, I saw the Grateful Dead from Maine to Florida, San Diego to Alaska, and everywhere in between. I saw 58 Grateful Dead shows in 1980. We called 1980 our Summer of Love. The year started off with a one-off show in Oakland in January, but really got going with 3 shows at the Capitol Theater in Passaic, New Jersey at the end of March, going into April Fool's Day, 1980. It was at these shows that I met an older hippie named BT. BT walked up to me and said, "Hey man, do you want a dose?" And I said, "Sure." BT gave me 50 hits of LSD, which I started tearing up and handing to all of my friends. At the end of the show, BT came up to me and said, "Hey man, if you want, when I get back to San Francisco next week, I would be happy to overnight you a couple thousand hits of LSD, and you can sell them to your friends from high school, and you can become part of my LSD underground distribution network." Now, I thought that was the greatest offer that I had ever heard in my life, so I immediately gave him my parents' home address in Westfield, New Jersey, and BT started sending me thousands of hits of LSD over the course of the next year that I was selling to my friends from high school, who were then selling them to their friends. And we were just completely psychedelicizing all of northern New Jersey for all of 1980. It was quite the adventure. So 1980 summer tour started in Tempe, Arizona, and then it went to Boulder, Colorado in early June of 1980 for what they called the 15th anniversary concerts of the Grateful Dead. If you think about that, that's pretty mind-blowing because we just passed 60 years, so that was 15. The rest of that summer tour went all the way through August. The first part was in June. They played in Boulder. Then they went to Portland, Seattle, and Spokane. When they were playing in Portland, while they were playing Fire on the Mountain, this is a true story. Phil Lesh told it to me himself. They were playing Fire on the Mountain. Mount St. Helens volcano erupted 50 miles away from where they were playing. Yes, the Grateful Dead makes things happen. Portland, Seattle, Spokane. Then they played 3 shows in a high school auditorium in Anchorage, Alaska over the summer solstice of 1980. They came back at the end of the summer and they finished the last show on September 6, 1980 in Lewiston, Maine. That was the 4th of the big Labor Day weekend concerts. It was a glorious day. The sun was shining. I have incredible photographs. You've probably seen them on the internet from that day. And everybody realizes that that show at Lewiston, Maine on 9/6/1980 was just such a good show. And I asked David Lemieux, why is this not a Dave's Picks? And he said, it is such a great show, but we do not have a soundboard recording of that show. And if we did, it would have been one of the first 5 Dick's Picks that came out because we know how good that show was, but there's no soundboard recording of it. I went to that last show on September 6th, and then I went back to college, or I pretended to be in college because the Grateful Dead were about to start a 15-night run in San Francisco at the Warfield Theater, also celebrating the 15th anniversary of the Grateful Dead. And these were incredible shows where they played an acoustic set followed by 2 electric sets. So there were 3 set shows in a 2,200-seat theater in San Francisco. They played 15 nights there, 2 shows at the Sanger Theater in New Orleans, which is also a few thousand people. And then they played 8 nights at Radio City Music Hall in New York City to finalize that whole series of 3 set shows. They were documented on a variety of vinyl records that came out over the last few years. including Reckoning, which came out many years ago. And that's where I chose the song China Doll from. It came out on Reckoning. It was from October 14th, 1980 at the Warfield Theater. I was at that show. I think that might have been the very last show of the 15-night run. The internet can tell us. And those shows, when they played that acoustic, was super beautiful because Brent played a harpsichord on China Doll every night that they played that song. And that was another thing about China Doll that came back in the Brent era. It was a song they hadn't played in many, many years, and now it was back in the repertoire. And after they played it at all those acoustic shows at the Warfield and Radio City, they also played it electric live for many years to come. So from October 14th, 1980, here is China Doll from the Warfield in San Francisco.
Pistol shot, fire above, bells of heaven ring. Tell me what you done it for. No, I won't tell you. Yesterday I made for the ground. All I leave behind me is only what I felt. If you can abide, let the birdie bird. Stranger ones have come by here before they flew away. I will not condemn you. No, you will not be mine. I would ask the same, but fear
I love China Doll. It's a magical song. It was a magical ballad that they played in that end of second set slot for many years after they brought it back in 1980 with Brent. And it continued till the end. And it was one of those songs that we lived for. Just like Comes a Time, Morning Dew, all of these songs. My name is Jay Blakesberg, and I'm your guest host here on the Grateful Dead Listening Party on SiriusXM. Honored to be here. Thank you, John Mayer, for inviting me as your guest host this weekend. I have always been in love with 1973 Grateful Dead. I was a teenager when Wake of the Flood came out, but it was a super precious vinyl record for me when I finally started listening to the Grateful Dead in 1976, 77. My first LSD trip was during an East Coast snowstorm that closed all the schools down in either late 77 or early 78. Remember snow days on the East Coast? The schools would be closed, but your parents still had to go to work. Well, that's what happened. We laid on my bedroom floor, which was, of course, really, really stinky carpeting from all the bong water that we spilled on it as teenagers, and we played Wake of the Flood over and over again. We stared at the Rick Griffin cover art, and we wondered how that cloud turned into the skeleton's face, while the harvester's face melted on the cover over and over again. I was 16 years old, I think. I might have still been 15, but I think I was 16 at that point. That record really just blew our minds. We literally played it so many times that day, and so many songs that were indelibly burned into our psyches on that snow day in New Jersey, including the full Weather Report suite, which they stopped playing at the final Winterland shows in 1974. But they continued to burn the house down with it every time they played Let It Grow, right? So Let It Grow is part of the Weather Report suite song, but they stopped playing the beginning part of it and just played Let It Grow for the rest of the years with the Grateful Dead when they brought it back. Another Weir Barlow masterpiece. I believe there's another songwriter named Eric Anderson, maybe. I can't quite remember, who had something to do with writing that song with them. So let's listen to a 1973 Weather Report suite from Tampa, Florida. And you know that it's an epic one because this is from Dick's Picks #1. So they knew that this show was a good one when they put it out. Tampa, Florida, December 19th, 1973, the full Weather Report suite. 15 minutes and 53 seconds. Check it out.
Tell me why summer's fade and roses die. The answer came, the wind and rain. Golden hills, now veiled in gray. summer leaves are blown away, and what remains, the wind and rain. And like a desert spring, leather comes and spreads away, like a song that's born to soar the sky, flowing to the waters all the time. Sands of time, and seasons will end. He tumbles right, and little change, but when it rains. Like a desert spread, lover comes and spreads away, like a song that's born to soar the sky.
At the work of his days, measures more than the planting and growing. Let it grow, let it grow, what shall we say? Shall we call it by a name? To well account the angels dancing on a pin. Water bright as the sky from which it came. And the neighbors on the earth that takes it in. Will not speak but stand inside the rain. To shout, I am, I am, I So it goes, we make what we made since the world began. Nothing more, the love of the women, the work of man. Seasons round, creatures great and small, up and down, to rise and fall. What shall we say? Shall we call it by name? 'Cause we'll account the angels dancing on the pin. Water bright as the sky from which it came. And the neighbors of the earth that takes it in. We will not speak but stand inside the rain. And listen to the thunder shout. I am, I am, I am. I am.
Hey everybody, I'm Jay Blakesberg. I'm your guest host on Grateful Dead Listening Party. You can find me on Instagram at Jay Blakesberg or at Retro Blakesberg. Retro Blakesberg is only photographs I shot on film from 1978 until 2008 when I stopped shooting film, and my daughter curates that Instagram page. And if you really want to dig even deeper into cool photography, check out on Instagram at Retro Photo Archive, another page my daughter curates. And those are vintage photographs only shot on film from the 60s until people stopped shooting film that my daughter and I manage 35 archival photography collections, pictures of the Grateful Dead and Jimi Hendrix and The Who and every band out there. If you love vintage photography, you will love Retro Photo Archive. When we were dancing at a Grateful Dead concert with our most favorite people in the world, listening to music that was so dear to our hearts and our souls, it put us in the moment. It was creative improvisation at its core, and the spontaneity it presented showed us how to live in the present. It made us understand unity and allowed us to transcend the mundane reality that faced so many of our peers because of what the adults were trying to sell us. This false narrative that life needed to be birth, school, work, taxes, death. We actually realized there was way more than that, and there was an alternative. You could live your life the way you wanted to live it. And there were so many things in between birth, school, work, taxes, death. And a lot of that was rock and roll, and a lot of that was with the Grateful Dead. We wanted those experiences, and we went for those experiences. And that's something the Grateful Dead and the counterculture of the 1960s taught us. Be in the moment, be present, be connected. And that was the ethos that we lived by, and that was the vibe that we accepted. At Dead shows, we all loved the Garcia ballad that closed the second set of Grateful Dead concerts. And we heard Stella Blue, we heard Black Peter, we heard Wharf Rat over and over again. Those were the staples for many years. We loved when we got That Comes a Time and China Doll that I talked about earlier. But what we truly hoped for every single night, which is maybe one of the reasons we kept coming back for more, was we wanted the Morning Dew. And it's kind of weird. You had to go on tour just to not miss the Morning Dew because they might only play it one show on a tour, 2 shows on a tour. You might get 5 Stella Blues and 4 Wharf Rats and 3 Black Peters and 1 Morning Dew. You couldn't miss a show on the tour because what if you missed Morning Dew? You would have FOMO before they even invented FOMO. And it's kind of weird because Morning Dew was not written by the Grateful Dead, but it was still a holy grail song, and they owned it when they played it. They made it their own. It's a weird song because it's about a post-apocalyptic nuclear destruction, But the way the Grateful Dead played it, it transcended that original intention. And of course, like I said, they made it their own. And it became a song that came with a strong spiritual awakening. So when the band played that song, when they played Morning Dew, the connection between band members and also the band and the Deadheads was unparalleled. In 2015, for the 50th anniversary of the Grateful Dead, I was asked by Phil and Jill Lesh to interview Phil on stage at Terrapin Crossroads. They were going to play one show from every year in the Grateful Dead's history, and they asked me to interview Phil on stage before each one of those shows and talk about what was going on in Grateful Dead history in that year. And I did every one of them from 65 to 2015 except 1969 and 1970 because I was somewhere out of town. And so I got to interview Phil 28 times on stage about Grateful Dead history. You can find those online. Just search Phil Lesh, Grateful Dead interviews, Jay Blakesberg, Terrapin Crossroads. I think they're on YouTube. There's a lot of really great interviews. But one of the things that I did every night leading up to the interview with Phil, to put it into perspective, I talked about what was happening that year in history. Who won the Academy Awards? What was on TV? What was in the top 10 of the Billboard charts? And I also did the Morning Dew report. How many times did the Grateful Dead play Morning Dew that year? Right? Because it just became a joke, right? Because it was just such a big thing for all of us Deadheads. And so I decided that I'm going to pick a Morning Dew, and one of the most epic Morning Dews ever, from Cornell University on what's considered the greatest Grateful Dead concert ever, May 8th, 1977, Cornell University, Ithaca, New York, released as a box set by Rhino in 2017. Here's Morning Dew for a magical, spiritual time on Grateful Dead listening party. Check it out.
Walk me out in the morning dew, my honey. Walk me out in the morning dew today. Can't walk you out in the morning dew, my honey. Can't walk you out in the morning dew today. Thought I heard a baby cry this morning. Thought I heard a baby cry today. You didn't hear about all those people. You never see those people anyway. Thought I heard a young man moan this morning. Thought I heard a young man moan today. Thought I heard a young man moan this morning. I can't walk you out in the morning to today. Walk me out in the morning to my honey. Walk me out in the morning to today. Kiss a whole girl in the morning to my honey. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. I guess it doesn't matter anyway.
Wow. I wish that I was just 6 months older. I probably could have been at Cornell to hear Morning Dew. Alas, I saw the Grateful Dead for the first time 6 months later. English Town, not even 6 months, 4 months. I saw the Jerry Garcia Band in July of 1977 down at Convention Hall in Asbury Park, and the Grateful Dead just a few months later for the first time at English Town. Here's a little Morning Dew story for you. Morning Dew was a crowd favorite during Dead & Co. And I loved John's solos in Morning Dew, and I loved Bob singing Morning Dew. And in about 2019, Bob seemed to get up to the microphone to do that last line in Morning Dew and cut off John's second solo, right? So there's two big solos in Morning Dew. There's the first one, which is epic, and then there's the second one, which is super califragilisticexpialidocious, epic beyond anything. And when John Mayer has a hold of that guitar solo at the end of Morning Dew, it is transcendent. And then Bob would come up to the microphone and cut him off. So I saw Morning Dew on the set list in Boulder in 2019, and John was walking down the stairs to go on stage for the second set. And I looked at John and said, "Don't let Bob cut you off at the end of that guitar solo in Morning Dew in the second solo." I said, "I need you to play that second solo like your life depends on it." And John did it, and he didn't let Bob cut him off. I'm not saying that I had influence over anything. I just planted a seed, and John Mayer made it blossom in such an epic way. And that is the magic of the Grateful Dead. And that is also the magic of Dead & Company. My name is Jay Blakesberg, and I am your guest host here on Grateful Dead Listening Party. This has been super fun to do. You can check out my Dead & Company book at my website, rockoutbooks.com. Get it for your loved one, get it for yourself, put it on your coffee table, share the magic. We're getting to the end of the show. I think I got a couple more songs to go. Mickey Hart often said to us, "No risk, no reward." What did he mean by that? Those have been words that I have tried to live up to, both in my professional career as a photographer, but also as a Deadhead. What we were able to witness over so many decades of live music exploration with this band and all the bands that came after the Grateful Dead, Phil and Friends, Rhythm Devils, Wolf Brothers, Dead & Company, all of the bands, Billy and the Kids, the list goes on, Further, the other ones. When we explored this music, it was beautiful. Sometimes it was a bit messy and chaotic, but very frequently it was the adventure we all hoped it would be. That's where risk and reward came in. Every night when the lights went down and the crowd cheered and you tasted that lysergic drip that was going down the back of your throat, and those of you that know what I'm talking about. You heard the first notes of a jack straw or a Cold Rain and Snow. That is when all the weirdness of life melted away, literally, and the beautiful psychedelic swirl consumed you. We were all in this together. We were in the groove, the vibe, and 100% happy that all the decisions we made to be in that room on that night with those other Deadheads and that band who were also all in, were ready to take that risk, because if it all clicked, the reward was like nothing else you have ever experienced. And that is why we kept coming back for more, again and again and again, for decades and decades. It didn't stop when Jerry left the planet in 1995. That vibe has continued for 60 years now, and we all know why. It's because the band was willing to take risks, and we were willing to go along with them on that ride. And Mickey has been telling us that for decades, and here we are with the grandest reward ever, 60 years of Grateful Dead experiences. For me, it's been 50 years that I've been involved with this music as a fan, as a professional, documenting this music, documenting this experience. I feel so blessed, so honored that they let me into their world the way that they did. And I worked really hard to get there. Nobody gave me anything. I proved myself. I did good photography. I hope you love my photography. I hope you look at my photography. This has been my life, and it's been with the Grateful Dead, and it's an honor. So let's check out a Smokin' Jack Straw from 1980 again at the Warfield in October, and this is part of the Complete Live Rarities collection. And then we'll come back for one final song. Check out Jack Straw.
We can share the women, we can share the wine. keep on rolling, just a mile to go. Keep on rolling, my old buddy, you're moving much too slow.
I just jumped the watchman right outside the fence. Took his rings for bucks and change. Ain't that heaven sent?
Hurts my ears to listen, and it burns my eyes to see. Gut down man in Culver, Shannon, might as well be me. Silver, now we play for life. One for sport and one for blood at the point of a knife. Now the die is shaking, now the die must fall. There ain't a winner in the game. You don't go home with all, not with all. Texas, 4th day of July. Sun so hot, the clouds so low, the eagles fill the sky. Catch a Detroit lightning out of Santa Fe. Great Northern out of Cheyenne, from sea to shining sea.
Gotta go to Tulsa, straight wicked ride. Gotta settle one old score, one small point of pride.
Ain't a place a man can hide, Shannon, will keep him from the sun. Ain't a bed can give us rest now to keep us on the run. we can share the women, we can share the wine.
God, when they played Jack Straw as a set opener, it really set the tone for what was going to go down that night. The shared vocals between Bob and Jerry, and eventually Bob and John, and I think Jay Lane sang a verse when he joined the band. It just really, we knew that it was going to be a good night when you heard a Jack Straw. So love that Jack Straw from the Warfield in 1980. Of course, I was at those shows. Okay, folks, I think my time here as guest host on Grateful Dead Listening Party is about to come to its conclusion. Thank you all so much for listening, and I want to thank John Mayer for helping carry the torch. We can't wait to see how you help keep the Grateful Dead songbook alive for the next 300 years, as Bob Weir has asked us all to do. John, you've been a really dear friend for 10 years in the Grateful Dead. I appreciate everything you've done with me, all the conversations we had. John Mayer wrote the foreword for a book I did on Jerry Garcia about 8 years ago, and it was spectacular. John is the most articulate, clever, smart, beautiful, loving human being that I've encountered. I count him as a dear friend. Thank you, John, for having me on your show. And thank you, Deadheads, for listening to my stories. So for my last song, I'm going to go back to where it all started for me, which was Englishtown 77. We already heard Eyes of the World from the second set. This concert was broadcast live on WNEW in New York, famous radio station in the 60s and 70s and 80s. So everyone had a soundboard quality bootleg recording of this show. It's a show I listened to hundreds, if not thousands of times on cassette, in my car, in my bedroom, anywhere I could. I know I wore out at least 4 copies of cassettes until it finally came out as a Dick's Picks number 15 in 1999. But there was one difference between the radio broadcast bootleg and the CD release. When WNEW did the broadcast on that day in 1977, they cut the broadcast before the encore, which was Terrapin Station. So everybody that had the bootleg tape had the whole show as a soundboard recording with no Terrapin Station. Now, the band had been playing Terrapin for most of 1977, I think starting in February, and they played it about 20 times leading up to the end of summer when they did this end of summer Labor Day show at Englishtown. 100,000 people. It was 105 degrees. The Marshall Tucker Band and the New Riders opened. It was an epic day. I was 15 years old. And so the record came out at the end of July. Terrapin Station came out the end of July. Englishtown was 5 weeks later, give or take. And after they finished trucking to end the second set, Phil came out and said, we're going to play a little ditty from our new album in record stores currently. So ladies and gentlemen, for my last song on Grateful Dead Listening Party, here is a little ditty from my first Grateful Dead show, Terrapin Station. Enjoy this. Thank you so much for having me. I'll see you out on the dusty trail. Please say hi to me if you see me. I love you all. Thank you. What a long, strange trip it's been.
Things we've never seen will seem familiar. Shadows of the sailor form wait for bound and Pharaoh small. Down in Carlisle he loved a lady many years ago. Who came through many fights but lost in love. balcony flies open, and a girl is standing there. Eyes alight with glowing hair, all the fancy paints as fair. She takes her fan and throws it in the lights dim. Each of you to gain me tell the risk uncertain pains of hell. I will not forgive you if you will not take the chance. Try, the soldier being much too wise. Strategy was a strength and not disaster. That's how it stands today. You decided he was wise. The storyteller makes no choice. Soon you will not hear his voice. His job is to shed light, not to master. Often golden hopes he will come back, but he cannot be bought or sold. Sense and color, hold away despair. More than this I will not ask. Faced with mysteries dark and vague, statements just seem plain and last. Some rise, some fall, some climb too terribly. Halloween stars by candlelight, all are dim but one is bright. The spiral light of Venus rising first, shining pale. Oh, from the northwest corner of a brand new crescent moon, cicada sing. I'm headed to the Terrapin Station. In the shadow of the moon, Terrapin Station. And I know you'll be there soon. Terrapin, I can't figure out. Terrapin, it's the end of the beginning. Terrapin, but the chains put its brakes on. And the whistle is screaming. Terrapin.
Good night.
Your program has ended. Thanks for listening. Continue exploring the SiriusXM app to discover more from your favorite artists and channels.